You know, this road can get scary, and self-doubt clouds your confidence. Stand in the mirror and say this: I'm capable of...
Me, I go by the name Charnell. Born and bred in Slough, and I'd say about 4 years ago, I sort of took the plunge and I actually moved from Slough to Essex.
I suppose my adult life breaks down into 5 sections. The first 2 sections are really quick. So when I left school without any qualifications. So, no qualifications apart from O-level in art. That's all I had when I left school. And I actually started my first business, which a lot of people don't know, when I was 21. And I left school and started labouring for a plastering company that went to houses and commercial buildings and put plasters on the walls and plasters on the ceilings, that kind of stuff. So I started as a labourer, just carrying around sacks of cement and sacks of plaster. And that was about sort of the age of 17. So I did that for a couple of years, just laboured. And then after a couple of years, I decided that it's probably not a good idea for me to keep working for somebody else, doing all the work for them. So I thought, I wonder how I can do this for myself. So I literally went out and I bought a van. I hired one of the guys who was working with me at the time as a labourer. And I ran my own business, plastering, going into houses and buildings and doing my own plastering for about 3 years. And then following that, I got a job that was really hard work. And there's a lot of hassle. But anyway, cut long story short, I decided to go into another side of the building game, which was manufacturing, fitting UPVC windows and doors. So I did that for quite a while. Again, had my own van, had people working for me, subcontracted the work out. So did that for quite a bit of time. Saw an opportunity within a company that manufactured the doors and windows. So I went and got a job as a manager within a large company called Genesis Windows at the time, which was one of the biggest manufacturers of windows in the area at the time. And so that was kind of the early years. At this point, I still had no real qualifications as such.
Hi everyone, I'm Hannah. I have a couple of businesses. So one is my coaching business, and it's really weird because actually I feel like I'd been doing this for maybe the last 10 years. I'm that kind of person when someone is looking for a job, I'm like, oh, let me help you with your CV. Let's do a mock interview. So it started really organically with me just helping people with my gift. And then I was thinking about it. I was like, this could actually be a business idea. There's loads of people out there who really want to change jobs or just get their first job, etc. And they're finding it so difficult because they don't understand what it takes to be able to land that job. And for me, it's always been really easy. Like I go in, I'm like, oh, that was easy. I come back out, and then other people were just not having that experience. It's like they were applying to job after job. So I decided, I think it's probably been 2 years now. I decided I was actually going to make it a full-time business. And because I'd been doing it for so long without charging, it was like, is anyone going to pay for this? I started out with some really dead prices, but it was good because I was testing the market. I was testing myself. But now I've become more established. I know exactly what I'm doing. I've got my different packages and it's all going really well. I also had a stint with doing relationship counseling. I did loads of different counseling, but now I've kind of niched down into general, either it's life coaching specifically or it's career coaching. So it's a lot more standardized. And then my other business I run with my husband. So we've got a gym in Essex. It's a 24-hour gym, loads of equipment, classes, all the rest of it. And that's something that has been on our hearts probably since we got together, because when we got together he was a personal trainer, and when I said what do you want to do, he was like, I want to have my own gym. And it's you see gyms all the time, people have their little studios and stuff like that, but he wanted a big gym, 12 treadmills, the spin bikes. He wanted a proper one, and it was okay, so how are we going to get to that? So since we got together, it's when you have an aim, even though it feels as if things are not going in the direction we knew where we're trying to get to, and now that we're there, it feels amazing.
What is the business that you actually have? Because I kind of know, but I think as well you may have a niche that I didn't know about. So I would just love for you to tell us exactly what you call your business now, and also has that changed? Because when we talk about business, I always have this conversation what is the difference between a business and a brand? Because some people have a brand as such, but is that a business, you know? And people have a business, but do they have a brand? And do we know the difference in them? And have you discovered the difference? And also, would you say that you started with a business and then built a brand, or did you start with a brand and then build a business?
Yeah. So great question. And I would say when I first started, I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna have a hair business. I didn't really think about, and that's why I talk about marketing. Like I didn't understand, like, yeah, you know, I would just call it whatever. And I think I did actually rebrand my business. And the reason being is because when I was sort of thinking about what do I want to have and what do I want to leave behind, I would like to have some sort of legacy, right? So I decided that it's very important to be branded as a business, you know? So when I was thinking about the name of my business, which is now called Chatel Noire, I was like, does it have a meaning? Like, is it meaningful to me? Like, is it representative of me and who I am? And that was why I decided to kind of go with the name Chatel, because a bit of a play on words. Obviously, my name is Charnell. And I was looking in the Urban Dictionary one day because I was like, I need to find something. And I came across the word Chatel. And like, on my website.
Stop 1 minute. Someone has only knocked my door.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm gonna just keep it recording, but I'll just edit. I think it's my the people to fix my toilet. See? 1 minute.
What was I saying?
We were answering the question in regards to what do you have a business, do you have a brand, and what's the difference?
Yeah, okay, cool. So when I initially started out, like my sole purpose was just to have a business. And I think, you know, again, as I said, this was very much a discovery phase of like my journey. And I think that one of the things that I realized is that part of marketing is having a brand and is being a brand and is embodying a brand. And therefore, like when I sort of moved from sort of like, you know, being within a premises to then being mobile, and deciding that actually I wanted to kind of go on the journey of, you know, sort of styling hair and like being a bit more niche in my market, I was like, actually, I want a brand, because I want people to know that if you hear this name, this is what they do, you know, like, so, and one of the things I noticed, again, like on Instagram, like you might have hair by this person or hair by that person or makeup by this person. And I feel like that's great, but I don't want it to be about me. I want it to relate to me, and I want it to be an extension of me, but I don't want it to be about me, because actually at the end of the day, it's more about my clients and it's more about actually what I can do for them. And so that's why when I sort of decided to rebrand, I was like, I'm gonna really think about this, you know? So, and then I went to like the Urban Dictionary, because as I said, like the name of my brand is Chatel Noire, and I wanted it to kind of like maybe have like a bit of element of, you know, Charnel, because that's my name. As I was looking through the Urban Dictionary, and I was like, oh, Chatel, oh, that's nice. Like, you know, it's a bit weird, but you know, nice. Has like, it's not in the Oxford Dictionary, but I was like, who cares? Like, it's you know, and the definition next to it, it was something like formidable woman who you know, knows what she's doing, like she can basically hold it all together, like she can please her. I was like, please her man. I was like, this is the wife we are talking about. I was like, this is the kind of client that I want to come to Chatel Noire. So I was like, yep, that's it. And then Noire, I mean, I'm black, so
I mean
and yeah, I just thought it was I thought it was also intriguing, you know, and I thought, wow, that's really cool. And every time I sort of talk to a client, that's probably like one of my most asked questions from a client. Oh, how did you come up with your name? Like such a, you know, because when people email me, they say, hi Chatel, And it makes me laugh because I'm like, hey, but
that's me. But also,
my name, but it's fine. Like, you know, but I love it because, you know, it's they'll always think of the word Chatel before they'll think of like Charnell, you know. And yeah, so that's why I decided to kind of like build a brand. And I just thought, as I said, like I wanted to kind of have something that had longevity in the name and also left a legacy.
And one day we were sat around in our tea room, and I was about 25 at the time. I remember the day that changed my life, literally changed my life. And we were sat down, and all the guys that were in the factory in the tea room, they're all in their kind of early 40s, late 40s, that kind of age. And I was sort of like, say, 24, 25. And they were talking about what they did the night before. Most of it was about around getting drunk and all that kind of crazy stuff. I remember sitting down and thinking to myself, this could be me in 15, 20 years time. I could be sat around talking about how I got drunk last night, falling over in the street. And I thought, this can't be me.
Yeah.
There is no way this is going to be me. And I was always one of those boys at school who always got their school reports, could do so much better, is very switched on, but all he wants to do is do sports. And I was a very good footballer. So I was at West Ham United Youth for 2 years. I was at Ipswich Town, so I was a very good footballer. So all I wanted to do is play football. And I'll be honest, I completely messed it up. West Ham United used to come to my house 3 times a week, pick me up, take me to training. I was a really good footballer. And when I got to about 16, I thought it was better to go out clubbing. So they would come, and they literally came to my door for about 3 months and just stopped coming. And so I got into music and running around being stupid and just completely messed it up. So anyway, I'm jumping backward and forward a bit. So when I was sat in that tea room, I thought, you know what, I need to do something with my life. I can't be sat here when I'm 40, 45, 50, doing what these guys are doing. No disrespect to what they were doing, but I knew that I had more inside me. So I just bought my first house, well, my only house. I bought my house then. So the house that my mum currently lives in, we bought back then from a ridiculously cheap amount of money because the next council property.
Hold on one sec. So when you, so you started off kind of labouring and then you went into your own business. And so was that where you made enough profit to be able to buy your mum's house? Because, you know.
No, not at all. What happened was my mum was renting the house at the time. And I can't even remember how, but I found out that getting a mortgage was cheaper than the rent we were paying.
Right.
So when I say it was something like about £5,000 was the mortgage, the house value at the time. It was a ridiculous amount of money.
Right.
Yeah, so it's common sense to me. Why pay rent when we can buy the house for less than we're paying in rent?
Yeah.
And so that was why I got the mortgage. So it was nothing more. I'd like to say it was a really thought out plan, but it wasn't. It was pure, it just made sense to me. I didn't really have any business sense at that time. It just made sense.
Yeah.
So when I was working in Genesis Windows, as I said, I just decided that I need to change my life around. And the only way I could think to do that was to go back to school, literally go back to school. So the day I made that decision, I kind of disappeared for 12 years behind books, literally. So I did correspondence courses in GCSEs, and I did correspondence courses in A-levels while I was working. Then I did an undergraduate degree at the University of Westminster in law. Then I did a postgraduate degree, a master's degree in law at the London School of Economics, which at the time was, I was really proud of. At the time was the 3rd ranked highest university in the country at the time, behind Oxford and Cambridge. Had a really good reputation. And I made a decision that I wanted to get into the top university. I didn't want to go anywhere else. So I just applied and got into the university, and I got my master's degree. From there, I got a job as a legal secretary, because I could type 100 words a minute. And I was a really good typist, so I don't mind telling these stories because they're all true. So I went for a job as a legal secretary, and the senior partner at the time, Martin Murray, was the firm I worked for, said to me, "Look, Basil, yeah, I'm sure you can do that job really well, but there's an opening here for a legal clerk. Yeah, you can either go sit with all the legal typists, or you can come and do a job as a clerk." So I said, and look, I'm gonna be real about this. The reason I did that was because I knew how very difficult it was to try and get into legal firms as a young black man at the time. And for me, it was all about just getting into a firm. I didn't care how I got in. I just need to get in because I knew once I got in, I believed I'd be able to show what I was worth and move on from that point. So I had a game plan. It wasn't that I wanted to be a secretary. I just need to get into a firm.
So after going to uni, I did a business course at uni. After going to uni, I was like, sitting in my 9 to 5, I was like, this is it. Like, is this really it?
Really, 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 really important, because I think that sometimes we're too scared to start at the bottom. You was already qualified by then. You already had your master's degree. You had a lot of experience in terms of education. You had 12 years of studying, and you still decided, I'm going in as the typist. Sorry, but that's hilarious.
Yeah, it's true. I laugh about it now. Yeah. I do laugh about it, but it's true. It's a game plan. Everything in life is a game plan. It's about how you plan your future out, and nothing comes to you, in my view, without working hard for it. I don't care what it is. Some people are lucky, but most people are not lucky. Most people have to work hard for the things they get. I've always worked hard. I've never been frightened of going back to the beginning. I've never been frightened of starting from scratch.
You're a mother of 3, so you haven't just created 2 businesses. You're still a mum. So how do you juggle that? And is that something that encourages you, deflates you, makes it harder, makes it easier? Because again, that's what I find, like, you can because of your kids.
Yeah.
That's because of your kids.
Yeah.
It's almost like, for me, what was important is it being a black woman, especially, was I wanted to change the view, if you like. We're great mothers, you understand, we're so supportive, all of those things and some, and there's no cap on what we can do. So that kind of inspired me to do more. I know that makes them go, I'll do it when the kids are older.
Yeah, I hear that all the time. I think, we're probably speaking to the same kind of people that are coaching. And I'm just like, nah. Because at the end of the day, it's excuses. Like, I really do think it's excuses, because your children want you to be the best that you can be, so that you can also provide a great life for them. And I think for me, life is all about balance. I love my kids and I really want the best for them. But what I can't do is not be great because of them. Do you know what I mean? So I'm really good at compartmentalizing. Like, if it's work time, it's work time. My door will be locked. Like, don't open my door. I'm working. But when I'm with them, I'm fully with them as well. So we'll go out, we'll go to the park, we'll watch something together, we'll chill in the kitchen, and I'm with them. I'm not working. I'm not on my laptop and trying to speak to them at the same time. So I think it's just really important that we learn how to put things in each place. And even with my relationship with my husband, I know lots of people who are like, I'm focusing on my kids, and then they're wondering why their relationship is not working out. So for me, it's like that balance is so important. So on Friday evenings, that's our date night. Like, nothing comes in between that, whether like nothing. So even if it's like, oh, this is a great business opportunity, I'm like, date night. Do you know what I mean? Unless it's really big, and then he'll be like, nah, don't do that. But it's important, I think, as mothers and as Black women specifically, that we just need to reach for the stars. Like, we don't get as much support as some of the other demographics, and so we need to do as much as we can instead of using our own limiting beliefs to hold us back. It's so important that we strive and let our children see like how successful they can also be in the future, if not more. So I think it's been a big thing for me to just make sure that I am setting that example, because I remember when I was having kids, because I had kids quite young, and I think there's always this misconception that if you have kids young, then you are likely to not go very far because you'll be busy kind of looking after them and not. But I was able to do it and move at the same pace, if not faster, than some of my peers. So I haven't let that stop me whatsoever, because I think it became even more of a driving factor, the fact that I had kids, and I never wanted to be said that, oh, Hannah could have been, someone big, but she had kids and now she's at home just looking after kids. So that was something that I didn't want. But I do know that at the same time, there's loads of people who that is their dream, to just be mothers and look after their kids, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just didn't think that that's what I wanted for myself.
Love that.
In 2006, I just started my current dance business, Salsa. And I had a few students, not many at all. And I said to myself, okay, how am I going to change my life around? Right. What I need to do is give up law and try and build a dance business. So I handed in my notice and I left Martin Murray's with about 20 students. At the time, again, I don't mind saying I was on about £75,000 a year, earning a decent salary. And I went from that to almost nothing overnight. And I literally went from nothing. But, you know, there's that story. I left Martin Murray's. I landed on the shore. I set fire to the ships. There was no way back off the shore. I had to make it or fail. They were the only two choices. So when I started Dance and Salsa, I set about a process over the next 10 years of building Dance and Salsa into what I wanted to be was one of the most successful Latin dance businesses in the UK, which is what it ended up being. At that time, before pandemic, I had around sort of 300 regular students attending my various classes. I performed across the country. I taught across the country. I've done all kinds of things. So I taught in schools, corporate stuff. So Dance and Salsa at the time, the beginning of the pandemic, was doing really well, and it's come out now. That's another story. But at the time, it was doing really well, and that was a lot of work. Yeah, building it up from scratch to. I had 15 part-time teachers working for me on a regular basis, running classes every week. I am very committed. In the time I've been running Dance and Salsa, which, like I say, started in 2006, it's now 2022. So apart from pandemic, prior to pandemic, I'd only missed one Wednesday in 14 years. I don't go on holiday. Again, my choice. I just work. That's not necessarily the healthiest thing, but I'm committed to what I do, and I'm there. Once I've made a decision about something, I am there 24/7, morning, noon, and night to try and make it work. And it did make it work. It was definitely a successful business. It had a very good reputation across the country. Everyone knew Dance and Salsa was from a quality point of view. And again, I wasn't just interested in providing a social night out. Mine was a dance school, so I wanted to teach people how to dance in a structured, formal way. So I had a structured syllabus. I had teachers that were trained, that were qualified with the United Kingdom Alliance, one of the few organizations in the country that were at the time. So it's very, I was very focused on what I was doing.
I mean, we don't always get to see the truth behind something that looks great or behind something that we think is doing great. And there's a truth that we don't often talk about. So one thing I wanted to ask you is, what have been your top 3 highlights of business and your top 3 lowest moments of business?
Okay, so top 3. I'm gonna. Okay, I think where I had a very exciting moment, I was like, oh my god! I think it was my work being published, like in Bella Niger. So I don't know if you know of Bella Niger, but it's like a very, very well-known sort of Nigerian-owned online magazine. They got great millions of followers. Do you know what I mean? And that was very, very cool. I was like, oh my god, that's very amazing.
Yay!
I think the second one, this is not in any, it's just things that kind of honestly, I would say being able to learn more about my craft and understand more about my craft through a very negative time, and my business, so that was, because that was very pivot. That was, I know it sounds a bit weird, but the pandemic was actually pivotal to my business, and I don't think I'd be where I am now if that didn't happen. Very
crazy, because it's almost like you needed a stop. Do you know what? Sometimes we're scared of change. We're scared of the stop, because we just want to keep growing and we just want to keep getting better and we just want to keep expanding. But without that stop, you wouldn't have reflected. Without that stop, you wouldn't have thought, 100%. How can I add? Because if something's working, we know what the saying is, don't fix it if it's not broken.
Yeah.
when it's not broken, we just do more of that thing. But when it's like, pull the brakes, we're not having any more of that, it's like, oh, what?
Yeah.
Sorry, excuse me. And also, people stopped, you know. I was very, very grateful in the I think for me, it fired up my passion, because it was like, I always ask myself, would I wake up and do?
I know exactly what you're going to ask. I know exactly what you're going to ask. Can I finish it?
Go on, you finish it, girl.
Would I do the work that I'm doing now, even if I wasn't going to be paid for it?
Literally.
That question, yeah, is possibly the best question I've probably ever asked myself, because that's how I knew I was doing the right business. I would do what I do, and I have done it. Like even after the pandemic, there was a wedding that we put on, and this came as part of like me jumping in people's DMs and being like, hey, I'm a bridal hairstylist, you know. We put on a wedding for someone, an NHS staff, and they got married for free.
Oh my God. No.
Yeah, it was amazing. They had like a beautiful venue. Like, I did her hair for free. She got her dress for free. Like, it was amazing.
Look at my face. I'm like, girl, did you not know I wanted to get married? That is so amazing.
I loved it.
Why it's like, I ask people this all the time. They've reached a point in my life and I was literally like, I get it. We need money. I've got children to take care of, a house, all of this stuff. However, I genuinely was at a company at the airport, and I would wake up in the morning and I would count down the days until I was off. And I would count down the days that I was like, this cannot be the rest of my life. Because the shifts were so tiring. Like, I loved the people I worked with. I loved the atmosphere. But I swear to you, when that alarm went off, I'd be like, there's 2 more to go. That energy, it didn't make me, I was all right. You know, I wasn't living. And I started to ask myself, would I do this and never, well, no, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't, you know? So I started to make different choices. And at first, it was like a sucker punch, like, because that money wasn't hitting my account. Do you know what I mean? And my priorities didn't change, my commitments didn't change, my responsibilities hadn't changed. But that's when my mindset started to change. And I think also when you ask yourself that question in another light, it's the same thing that makes you go harder. It's the same thing that makes you expand. It's the same thing that says, how can I reach more people, offer more people things, get better at what I do, yada, yada, yada. And also I add a little bit to that question where I say, would I do the same thing if no one was watching? Mm-hmm. Because
it's internal joy.
Right.
And running the business is, I mean, it's a great thing to do, don't get me wrong. It's you know, if anybody has the capacity to do it, I would definitely recommend doing it. But, you know, my trading business, I would say I spend 30 to 40 hours a week in my trading business. That's not just trading. I would say 25% of that time is trading, 75% of the time is research. In my dance business, I run classes for 3 hours on a Wednesday night and 3 hours on a Thursday night, 6 hours a week. I spend 40 hours a week marketing and promoting it.
No, I think for Black people who are already in business, I would say just keep going. I'd say keep striving. I would also say that where possible, don't try to limit yourself to only Black people being your target audience. And I say that because I speak to so many business people and they're so disappointed in the fact that they've put things out there expecting the Black community to be behind them and buying all of their stuff, and they're not. And that's okay. Everyone is still going to have their preferences of what they want. And I understand that sometimes as Black business people, our prices may seem more expensive. And that might be because we can't get the same deals as our counterparts. And, you know, sometimes, especially when it's products, you know, unless you're buying a really big bulk, your price points are not the same, and therefore our prices can be higher, and therefore you think like people are going to support you, but not when they can see it in the Indian man's hair shop for like £5 cheaper. So broaden yourself, like rebrand, you know, don't let disappointment stop you from being great. Just figure out how to pivot and how to find your people who will like the product that you're selling. I think for people who are not in it yet, I think you should educate yourself on different, you know, the basics, business fundamentals, so that you set yourself up for success, and also surround yourself with people who are already doing that. There's so many networking groups that you can join. You can get a business coach, whatever it is. Just make sure that you are arming yourself with what you need instead of jumping into it blindly without that information and without that support. But I think overall, the biggest thing is just about resilience and being able to bounce back. Even, you know, Black, white, Asian, it doesn't matter. Whenever someone is trying to launch something big, there's always setbacks. And a setback doesn't mean that you need to stop. You just need to bounce back up, change something and go again, and just keep tweaking until you get to where you're supposed to be. And I think that's it. I think if you have resilience, you can make it through anything.
I have a passion for life. Life for me is about living it and experiencing it and doing as much as I can physically do while I'm able to do it. And I'd rather wear out than rust, and I intend to wear the hell out.
They're gonna say I live.
Pretty brown skin, pretty light skin, pretty dark skin. I see African written in your DNA. Hella choco melanin from the motherland with your black skin. Never should you want it any other way. First things first, I'm blackity black, black. I'm blackity black, black. I'm blackity black, black. If you don't like that, you wackity whack, whack. You wackity whack. I said what I said, and that's that. This is for them queens that's rocking them kinky twists, from box braids to Bantu knots and four lips, them dreadlocks, crochets, afros and real hips, them pom-poms and sew-ins with edges that's real slick. Now catch this, your black presence is necessary, from Big Mama to Auntie Obama as First Lady. I validated, I still remember my mother's gumbo, Saturday mornings waking to soulful sounds of gospel. The richness of ancestral legacies and culture, our history extends beyond American borders, so please